Well, let's jump into it. And how much time do you have? And I promise this is the last question before we start.
I don't believe you.
I know.
I'm free to go as long as you guys want to.
Okay. And what are the winning lottery tickets for tonight? Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly. Well, welcome back to the DCL podcast. I'm your host, Steve Creasy, and joining me today, as always, is our lovely co-host from PackYourPixies.com. How are you doing today, Christy?
I'm well, Steve. How are you?
Not too bad. I think this is going to be a fun show today because we've got a special guest coming on, and she and her husband went on their honeymoon on a Disney cruise. So welcome to the show, Leah from South Jersey. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Steve. Hi, Christy.
Hi.
Well, it's fun to have you on, and I'm pretty excited to talk to. You're the second person that I think we've talked to that has gone on a Disney cruise for their honeymoon. So let's just jump into it. And first of all, I'd like to say congratulations on your wedding.
Thank you.
And give us a little bit of background about your kind of cruising and Disney history. What got you into Disney Cruise Line?
Well, I've been a giant Disney fan since as long as I can remember. My parents loved Disney, so we used to take a lot of trips when we were younger. And then I actually went on my first Disney cruise on the Magic in 1999. And since then, I've just loved Disney cruises. Anytime we go on any other cruise, I spend the whole time just like comparing it like, oh, Disney does this better. Disney does that better. So that's really like it for me. Disney is like the top for cruise lines. But my husband, he's actually never he did one cruise with his family when he was younger, but he never really got the whole cruise line atmosphere, like what makes them great and all that kind of stuff. So this was his first Disney cruise or really cruised as an adult ever.
So I'm kind of curious, as you guys are thinking, you've got all the different options out there in the world as far as travel goes. And you say he's not really, he doesn't have that cruising, maybe love that you have that you kind of developed over time. How'd you guys decide to do a Disney cruise then for your honeymoon?
Well, he knows how much I love Disney. He's always been kind of a little more, I guess, nervous about Disney. He doesn't quite have the love that I do, but he knows how much I love it and he knows how important it is to me. And then when we were talking about going on a trip, he kind of liked the idea of a cruise where it would take you from destination to destination and he could kind of just relax. And he agreed with me when I said, trust me, Disney is the best cruise line that you could ever go on. Even though he doesn't love Disney, he would still have a really good time. It's still beautifully decorated. It's not like they shove pixie dust down your throat or anything. It's just kind of subtly there. And he trusted me and it worked out.
Oh, good. So we got to the end of it went well. So that's
great. Yes, it did.
Well, let's just start from the beginning then. What was your overall plan for the vacation? Now, you guys went on a 4-day cruise on the Disney Dream, but what was the overall vacation? Because I think we were talking a little bit beforehand. You guys spent some time in Walt Disney World before and afterwards.
Yeah, so we got married on a Saturday and our cruise started on Monday. So we actually flew down to Disney the very next day, early morning, right after we got married. And we actually stayed at the Animal Kingdom Lodge, the Kidani Village. We got one of the Savannah rooms. I kind of just wanted to make it a special first night. And we went to Animal Kingdom. We ate at Tiffin's. We got lunch there. And then we actually, our last trip to Disney, we loved going to Sanaa. I think that was one of the highlights of the trip for him. He loved the food. He loved the bread service. So I didn't realize until we got there, but you can order the bread service from the lounge and they'll actually package it for you. And I took it back up to the room and we ate on our balcony with the animals in front of us while eating the bread service. And that was really cool. Yeah. And then I think we did the Star Wars dessert party because my husband loves all things Star Wars, which is actually one of the reasons I picked the Dream because I know they have that Millennium Falcon set up there. And I thought that'd be really cool for him. So yeah, we just had a little taste of Disney before we went on to the cruise.
So, and Christy might know this, as having a special kind of occasion like that, like just getting married. I know sometimes you can let Disney know ahead of time, they ask you, it seems like whenever we make a reservation, they're always asking, is this a special occasion for something? Did you let them know that you just got married?
Oh, yeah. When we went to Tiffin's, we were still kind of riding that just got married high, and we actually had the buttons on. So they were like, oh, you guys got married? When did you get married? And we're like, oh, we got married yesterday. So they thought that was pretty cool. They gave us like a little dessert plate that said congratulations on it, and the server was taking our pictures. It made us feel really special.
Christy, do you have any advice on that for people letting them know that they're celebrating a special occasion or anything like that?
They can just add it to the reservation. So for Disney Cruise Line, at least, you can have your travel agent add it to the reservation, and Disney will make a note. I feel like overall, as a general rule, Disney Cruise Line doesn't do as much as they do at the parks for celebration. Obviously, we'll get Leah's impression in a few minutes, but they will give you a button, just like they do at the parks. And then I don't really know that there is a lot else that is sort of extra. I feel like at Palo, they'll decorate your plate potentially for dessert. Like they put that chocolate writing on there. I don't really know that there's other really. So let's have Leah explain if anything else was included for her trip. But I think Disney Cruise Line is not as good as the parks at that.
Did you guys plan anything ahead of time as far as like going to Palo, or did you guys pick out anything special in the pre-planning stuff?
We did. Our trip just went to Nassau and Castaway, so I kind of didn't plan a lot of excursions off the ship. I really kind of wanted to focus our attention on the ship since we were only going to be there for 4 days. But yeah, we did book a Palo dinner and the couple's choice massage and Remy for brunch.
Oh, cool.
Well, I'm excited to hear about all of this. Like, we don't have many people that do those different activities, so that's awesome.
Definitely. So you guys spend, that first night at Animal Kingdom, and how did you guys get to Port Canaveral?
We actually used the Disney transportation. That was one of the reasons that I wanted to stay at Disney both before and after. It was really nice to just have them come and pick up your bags early in the morning, and then you don't see those bags again until you get on the ship and your room is ready, which was great for us. It really kind of took the stress out of traveling from place to place. And the transportation, I mean, it doesn't get you there as early as I know, like listening to you guys and other Disney blogs and stuff. We got there, I'd say around 12:30, which is late for a 4-day cruise, but the port was pretty empty, so it wasn't like a rush of like a mob of people trying to get on it all at once. So getting on was a breeze. We were on by, I'd say, 1 o'clock.
That part is nice.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking, like, by the time you get on, it makes it easier going through the port and getting on the ship, and then maybe the crowds are spread out a little bit. Did you guys go up to Cabanas right away, or well, you know what? Let's go back and talk about actually getting on the ship. What were your husband's thoughts as you guys first walked on his first time on a Disney ship?
He was really impressed with how clean and nice and friendly everyone was. It's really cool, obviously, when they say your name and like welcome you onto the ship. Cabanas was a little busy at that time. I think that was the only like a little bit of stress that I could see on his face was just because everyone's out, and I'd kind of prepared him for that, but I don't think that it fully set in that like no one's in their room, everyone's out, so it's going to be a little more packed than you're going to see the rest of the week. And we ended up having to eat outside because there was limited seating, so it was a little like sun's kind of hitting you, it's a little hot. He was starting to get a little agitated, but once we got to the room, everything was fine, and from there it was a breeze.
What kind of cabin did you guys book on this cruise?
We got the 5E Deluxe Ocean View with the balcony. We booked the back of the ship because they have the really large balconies back there. And we actually had the flag room. So that's the room where the flag is hanging off the back of the ship, which was really cool because they never entered our room to raise and lower it. They must do that from a different floor because I was out on the balcony one time and I saw it get raised and no one came in. But it was cool when you were off the ship, you could just like point and be like, oh, look, there's our room, and know exactly where it is.
That's pretty cool. Do you guys normally cruise in the balconies then in your previous cruises, or what's been your experience?
I have used a midship balcony a few times, but we've also done portholes. We've done like the whole range. The only thing we haven't done yet is inside staterooms. So I can't really speak to that. But what was cool about this balcony is it was pretty much twice the size of like the midship ones. There were 2 lounge chairs and 2 like regular sitting chairs, and we could basically like dance out there if we wanted to. It was so big.
Have you stayed back in those balconies before, Christy?
Not on Disney ships.
Okay. Yeah, it kind of intrigues me to do that. I'm guessing they're probably pretty hard to book. I would think that because of the size of the balcony, they book up pretty quickly, huh?
Yeah, I think they do.
Okay. So you guys get to your stateroom. What was your husband's thoughts? And I don't mean to keep throwing it back to him, but this is his first time. I'm just kind of curious, like, what was his thoughts about the stateroom you guys picked? And obviously the balcony has got to be amazing. What about the room itself?
He was blown away by the room itself. He thought it was like really beautiful and bigger than he was expecting for a stateroom. I mean, granted, we had just come from like one of the deluxe resorts, so it's not going to be that size, but but it was still plenty big. We had more than enough room. And then once he saw that balcony, he was just blown away. He couldn't believe how big it was.
Will you stay in that cabin category again?
If we had the finances for it, I would definitely stay in that. I would stay in that exact cabin again, honestly. It was a great cabin, great location. We've already talked about it. If we were to sail again, we'd probably do aft because everything was pretty, like all of your restaurants and stuff are mostly either aft or mid. So the only time we were really going forward is when we went to the spa the one time. So he loved the location and we liked the deck we were on. I would definitely stay there again.
You guys go from your cabin. Did you guys go up to the sail away party?
We did. I'm not sure if this is how it's been in other cruises, but when we were done the muster drill, we were already moving, which surprised me because I feel like before you didn't start moving until during the sail away party. So we were already sailing away when we went up to the sail away party.
That is early.
Yeah, I was really surprised. But then when we got to the sail away party, it was pretty crowded. We went up to deck 10 to kind of like try to look over, but you couldn't really see much. There was tons of people out there. And my husband was actually starting to get a little bit like too many kids, too much like excitement. So we actually moved to the adult only area, and they had like those loungers that are right by the overlooking the water. That's like a 2-seater kind of like cushion seating area, and we got sail away drinks and had our sail away party there.
Perfect. That is my kind of sail away party too. I am with your husband, and I do a lot of Disney and a lot of cruising, and I cannot with the people and the crowds and it's very exciting and very fun, but that is too much for me too.
Yeah. I think he liked a taste of it, but he definitely didn't want to stay there any longer than we were.
Now, would you have without that, like by yourself?
I mean, I've seen the sail away party several times, so I was totally fine missing it. By myself, I kind of tend towards the like, let's go celebrate all the time type of people. So, I mean, I probably would have ended up there if I wasn't with him, but I was fully content to move on.
Yeah, I kind of like the excitement of it and, a little bit of the music, maybe, I guess. But then the horn blows and you start moving, and then it's time to go find a place, have a drink, and watch.
Exactly.
Yeah, so no, that sounds perfect. Well, let's move into the dining then. What was your dining rotation on this one? And before we talk about Paolo and Remy, let's just talk about the main dining rooms.
We had second seating. Our travel agent actually booked us for that without really asking us, but I was totally fine with that. There's less kids, obviously. And it was kind of fun to just decide if you wanted to go see a show or if you just wanted to like hang out until dinner time. You had more time, I feel like, than when you had the earlier seating.
Did they put you at a table by yourself, or did they put you with other people?
We didn't request anything, so we just kind of left it up to them. And they did seat us with two other groups of cruisers, two other pairs of cruisers. One was a couple who was celebrating their anniversary, and the other were two friends from the UK who were actually sailing with us. They were around our age. They were already in the Facebook group, as I found out later. We were all in the Facebook group together, and it was really fun. They really did a good job of pairing us with people that we would get along with.
I love how Disney does that, actually. I think that is a very unique quality to Disney than to any other cruise line.
Yeah, definitely. And it helped, too. Our beverage server every night would come over, and at the end of the night when we were eating dessert and finishing up, he would give us like a brain teaser, usually involving like the crayons. He would do some sort of like brain teaser puzzle with us, and so we'd have to sit and figure it out. And every night it became like a game. It got us to like talk to each other and really get to like work on something together. It kind of brought us all closer, which I thought was really cool.
So, and what restaurants did you have?
So we started at Royal Palace, then we went to Animators, and I had booked us for Paolo on the night that we repeated the restaurant for the pirate night, and then we finished in Enchanted Garden.
And how was the food? And obviously the service staff sounds like it was amazing. You guys had some good company at your table. Anything stand out with the food and the dining there?
Definitely. It was nice to start at Royal Palace because one of my favorite things about Disney cruises is the escargot. And
I love it.
I feel like we talk about escargot a lot.
It's one of the staples. It's so good. And my husband had never tried it before, and he loved it.
you are a person after my own heart because I love the escargot and I love my kids' reactions every time I order it and it comes to the table. So yeah, that's pretty amazing. So
you both are cruise compatible. You love the sail away party. You love escargot.
Yeah, definitely. How about Animator's palate? What did your husband think about that?
He really liked it. He was a little nervous. Again, he's not like a center of attention type person. So when Crush started going around, I think he was a little worried that he was going to have to talk to him. But he thought it was really cute, though. He did enjoy the show, and the little where you had to guess the fish and that kind of stuff. That was something fun that our whole table was doing together. So yeah, he really enjoyed that restaurant too. For that restaurant, that was the night that everyone at our table was celebrating something. So they brought us like 5 different desserts after we had already ordered our desserts, and then brought us a Halloween spider cake, which I don't think that anyone ate because we were all so stuffed from everything else.
Well, that's kind of cool. That's the one thing I guess we kind of forgot to mention. Let's just talk about this cruise. It's a 4-day cruise on the Dream. The first day you're in Nassau, the next day you're Castaway Cay, the last day at sea, right? And then back to Port Canaveral.
Yeah.
And this is a Halloween on the High Seas cruise. I suppose you guys booked this just because it kind of fit along with your wedding. How was the Halloween stuff on board?
It was really nice. I had honestly tried to avoid sailing on a Halloween cruise. I just kind of wanted us to get the overall Disney environment without having it be like a special themed cruise. But they changed our cruise to a Halloween cruise after we had booked it. And I was just like, well, we can celebrate Halloween in September. It's fine. It was really fun. If you didn't want to really partake in it, you didn't have to. It wasn't like it was everywhere and you couldn't really avoid it. I enjoyed, they put little stickers on the windows when you're walking on, I believe, deck 3. And it's really cool when the light shines through, you kind of see like the pumpkin shadows on the walls as you're walking, which I thought was it was just like the perfect touch of Halloween without feeling like it's being shoved down your throat a month too soon.
That sounds perfect. So not over the top. You could take as much of it as you wanted to, but yet if you didn't want to, you could just enjoy Disney Cruise Line as you've known it to be. Did you guys go listen to the Halloween story for the Halloween tree?
No, we actually missed that.
Okay. That's okay. And that's the first time I've heard we've talked to a couple different Halloween cruises. That's the first time I've heard that they do some specially themed things with the food. That's kind of cool. A spider cake. Too bad you guys didn't get to try it, but I bet it looked amazing.
Oh, it did. It definitely looked good. If I wasn't already stuffed with my 3 desserts at that point, I probably would have tried some.
Yeah. Well, let's turn it to Palo then. What was your thoughts on Palo, and how did you enjoy that?
I really enjoyed Palo. This was my second time going. I actually went with my parents on the last cruise I took about 4 years ago, but this was the first time on the Dream in Palo. And it was a really great experience. I loved our server. All of the food was absolutely delicious. And then, of course, they did do a congratulations on your honeymoon plate. And it was the most gorgeous, over the top chocolate decorating that I had seen the entire trip. It was so beautifully decorated with flowers and hearts and everything. And it had our names on it. It was just gorgeous.
Oh. You took lots of pictures, I assume.
Oh, yeah.
Tried to shove the plate in your purse.
I wish.
Yeah, I love that. I love eating there.
It's definitely just a nice little romantic evening, especially since we were seated with other people. As much as I loved sitting with them, it was nice to have a little romantic honeymoon dinner.
So I'm kind of going back and forth on our cruise that we're getting ready to plan. Did you enjoy having Palo the night you did, as far as day 4, it was the last night, right, before you guys got off the next day?
No, it was actually the third night. It was the Castaway Cay night, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I guess, any advice on that as far as doing it the first night you're on board or the last night, or how do you kind of tend towards that? Would you rather do it like you guys did in the middle there? I'm just kind of been going back and forth with my wife, and I'm like, what day would be the perfect day to go? And it's different for every cruise and for everybody's personality, I guess, but I was just kind of curious what your thoughts were.
For us, it really worked out because we had the 4 days, and when you're doing rotational dining, if we had planned it for any other day, we would have missed that restaurant. And I really didn't want to do that because for my husband, it was his first time experiencing those restaurants. So for us, it really made sense to put it the night that we did because we were going to be in the same restaurant, even though it was a different menu. It was still the same restaurant that we had just been in. So he didn't really feel like he was missing out on anything. But I would say the only detraction for that is that we had planned it on the pirate night, which is also the night of the pirate buffet in Cabanas. And if you go to Palo the same night as the buffet, you are not going to have any room.
That is true.
Yeah, that's a good point there. So, well, let's talk about Remy then. Now, Remy brunch, I believe is that paired with champagne?
Yes, it is. There is an upcharge for it. I believe it was like $30 more than the Remy like regular food cost. But for us, it was worth it. They bring you, I believe it was 3 or 4 glasses of champagne all during the meal. They do give you one if you don't want to purchase the upgrade. They will give you 1 glass of champagne when you first walk in. They called it French coffee, which I thought was pretty funny. But yeah, I would definitely recommend it. It just adds something to the meal, and you're already there for that long meal. So you kind of want something special to drink while you're there.
Was that on your C day?
Yeah, that's the only day that they offered it on the Dream was on the C day, which we lucked out because there wasn't very much availability for that, but we did happen to get it, which is good.
Kind of walk us through it. It's a buffet, but can you also order from the menu, or how does it work?
The Remy one actually isn't a buffet. It works totally different than the one at Palo.
Okay.
So you walk in and they give you, I believe it was some cured meat and a glass of champagne, and the chef comes out and he actually walks you through the whole meal. I believe it was about 6 different courses, and it's all like you don't get to pick anything. It's just a pre-fixed menu. And the chef, I believe they said he had worked at Victoria and Albert's, which I thought was really cool because if you're going to get fine dining, that's where you go. And then they take you from there and they seat you all individually. And we actually lucked out because since we were on our honeymoon, they put us in the Gusto room in the very back, which is like a private room. It's decorated differently than the rest of Remy. It looks like you're walking into the restaurant from Ratatouille, which is really cool. And then they bring you each of these different courses. We had, oh gosh, I'm trying to remember now. It was whipped egg yolks was one of them with like caviar in it. It's like really, really fine dining, things that I would never think to order or try before, but it was absolutely delicious. And at one point we were eating one of the main courses that had a sauce over it, and the chef actually walked by and looked at my plate and was like, "You don't have enough sauce," and brought me out a separate container of sauce just for me to put on my meat, which I thought was really, really good. And every course, the servers both come out at the same time with your plates, and they lay them down on the table at exactly the same time, so you really feel like you're like in a very fine dining restaurant.
Wow. Is your husband a pretty adventurous eater?
He is, yeah. That's why I didn't worry about it because you can't really substitute anything, so you do have to eat whatever they put in front of you. But yeah, he's totally adventurous. He would eat whatever.
Just for a note for allergies, I do know that Sarah, who we've recorded and we'll have a show posted if we haven't already, of gluten-free and dairy-free Walt Disney World, she has eaten at Remy before, and they were able, for at least allergies, they were able to accommodate to ensure that she was able to eat everything that was offered or being offered to her.
Perfect. So is this something you think you do again, Leah, or would you try dinner next time with Remy?
I would like to try something different, but I absolutely would go back. It's the kind of experience that like you can only get on that ship. And I did ask one of the servers, and they do rotate the menu, I believe, every 6 months. So if you were to go again, everything that you would have eaten the last time would be totally different. So it would be a whole new experience.
That's kind of nice to know because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Christy, but I think a lot of the stuff in Palo is kind of, that menu doesn't change quite as much or as frequently, I don't think.
Yeah, it doesn't change at all.
Okay.
like once every 2 years, they'll remove something. People will be upset. That's pretty much how that works.
As long as they have the chocolate souffle, I think they'll probably keep most people happy, though, at the end of it, right? So.
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys get the chocolate souffle at all? No, you guys got
We did. Yeah, when we were there, we did get the chocolate souffle.
Okay. Yeah, I love that. So, well, let's talk about the entertainment on board. What did you guys experience? And did you guys do Match Your Mate by any chance? I think that'd be kind of fun on your honeymoon.
We did actually go there, and our friends from dinner were going to suggest us to be brought up there. But actually, one couple got engaged on the cruise. Oh. So they kind of beat us a little bit for like the folks who...
But they weren't married.
I know, they counted it though.
Well, what were some of the things you guys did besides Match Your Mate then? Did you see any of the big shows on board, or what did you guys do?
Yeah, we saw all of the big shows except for the night that they had the magician, but we did catch him at the at Evolution and the adult only, like when he did an adult only show. So we kind of felt like we didn't really need to see him again. But we saw Believe, we saw the Golden Mickeys, which is always one of my favorites, and we saw Beauty and the Beast, which was amazing. I will say though, you should get there for Beauty and the Beast pretty early, because we got there at around the same time that we had gotten to the other two shows, and we had perfect seats for those shows, no problem, lots of empty seats. But for Beauty and the Beast, it was pretty packed. We were way on the side, and I kind of wish that I had gotten there a little bit earlier so that I could get like a better seat, but it was still a beautiful show nonetheless, and I really had a great time.
So I'm thinking in the past we had a show where somebody said that the actual, since you guys were in the second seating, and maybe it was the Frozen show that ran a little bit too long, they were worried about making their dining time. Did you run into any problems with that with the shows?
No, I know that Beauty and the Beast was longer than the other two, but it was still no problems getting where we needed to go.
Well, what about finding, you guys are on your honeymoon, you've got, 4 days together. Did you guys find any, spaces that you could kind of just get away from the crowds a little bit that you really enjoyed? Like maybe one of the lounges or anything? Did you guys find anything like that?
We actually did a martini tasting up in Meridian on, I believe it was the second day. And me and my husband both fell in love with that bar. It's not really like one of the main ones that you would think of because it's right in between Remy and Paolo, and people just kind of go there when they're waiting for their table. But the bartenders were great. The drinks were great. The one bartender that had ran the martini tasting was super fun. And he had actually worked on The Wonder and it created one of the drinks that he had brought over to Meridian. So it was kind of great talking to him because he had a lot of knowledge about working with Disney Cruise Line. And like I said, you could basically walk in there at any time and it was pretty empty. So it was kind of nice to have a quiet place to go. Other than that, we spent a lot of time just kind of hanging out in the room in between our activities because they have the on-demand, all of the Disney movies on demand, which was pretty great. And we had that great balcony, so I didn't really feel the pressure to go like sit by the pool and try to fight for a lounge chair up there when we had two great ones right outside.
Oh, definitely take advantage of that while you can. Christy, have you been up to the Meridian Bar at all?
I have.
And do you have any thoughts on it? Because I haven't been there yet, but it sounds amazing.
It is very nice. It is, as Leah said, very empty, which is also nice. They actually, a lot of the bartenders that work in the concierge lounge swap and work there during the day. So I don't know if that is their like higher end bartenders or how they word that, but those bartenders will swap out too. So it's not even like they're always just working. So they work between, at least on the Dream Class ships, they work between the Meridian and the Concierge Lounge. Fun little tidbit. But I like it there. We have had drinks in there several times.
We're going to go up to Palos. I think this next cruise, I definitely want to make a point of stopping in there beforehand and having a drink before we have dinner at least. I want to check it out. It sounds like an amazing bar. Anything else, Leah, that you guys did on board the ship as far as entertainment goes?
Not really. We did go see the pirate show. That was, again, similar to the Sail Away party. My husband enjoyed it, but kind of got sick of it and wanted to move on. So probably if we were to do another cruise, we'd probably just kind of go out for the fireworks and maybe miss the show or see it from deck 10 and not feel like because we sat in the middle where they kind of make you like sit down Indian style on the ground and watch. And that was a little too much for him, I think.
Yeah, I kind of like being up on the upper deck there as the fireworks go off. So maybe a good time to go after dinner, grab a after dinner drink, and watch those fireworks and kind of miss the craziness. Well, let's talk about the spas then. We haven't talked a lot about the spas on board the ships. What did you guys book again, and what were your thoughts?
We way splurged on the Couples Choice spa treatment, which is in one of their private veranda rooms. So they take you in there. They kind of ask you what kind of treatment you want. We both went with the hot stone massage, and then they take you outside and they sit you in like a nice chair, and they do what's called a foot cleansing ceremony, where they put your feet in like a hot bowl and they like scrub your feet a little bit. Then they leave you for, I think it was about 20 to 30 minutes in a personal whirlpool that's just built for two people. And you can they ask you to bring bathing suits. So you're in bathing suits sitting outside on like a private veranda, enjoying like a private hot tub together. And then there's an open air shower, so they kind of get all the chlorine off of you. And then it's a 75-minute massage, which was absolutely amazing. We both almost fell asleep. And then afterwards, they take you back outside and they sit you in this like 2-person canopy lounger, and they give you tea and chocolate covered strawberries and other kind of fruit. And they let you kind of like bask in the glow of your massage for a little bit before they send you back to the rest of the ship.
Nice. That sounds really nice.
It was the highlight of the trip, absolutely. Mm-hmm. My husband asked me afterwards to tell him how much it was because I had kind of held that away from him. And after I told him, he said, I'm glad that you waited until after.
Right. You have to like mortgage your house.
It wasn't too bad, but when I tell other people how much I spent on a massage, they're like, what? But it was honestly worth every penny. I would do it again in a heartbeat.
I'm just thinking about being in that hot tub, overlooking the ocean as you're kind of cruising along together. What a magical moment to kind of spend together. That sounds like a fun time.
What was actually fun about it, too, is we did it on our Nassau day. So we didn't get off in Nassau. I've done it a million times. And as I'm sure other people have said on the podcast, it's not really a stop that you have to get off on. So our lounger and our hot tub were situated where we could get a good view of Nassau without getting off.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about, I guess, the 2 ports. You guys stop at Nassau and then Castaway Cay. So you guys didn't do anything at all in Nassau. For those who might be going to Nassau the first time, do you have any tips since you've been there so many times as far as maybe some things to do that you've done in the past?
Oh, yeah. We've gone to Atlantis before. I did like the water park experience there. And that was a lot of fun. My husband is not too into water parks, so I kind of figured it would be a waste of money for us to go there. But if it was myself or with other people, I definitely would do that again. That water park is gorgeous, and it's a lot of areas to walk around and explore. I've also done the just beach excursions where they would take you out to a private beach, and usually those include lunch, which is really nice. And again, I would definitely do those if it wasn't such a short cruise and if it wasn't our first cruise together where we really wanted more time on the ship together. But it's nice. It's not as nice as Castaway, but it's nice.
Well, speaking of Castaway, I'll let Christy take it away, and let's talk about Castaway Cay.
How did you enjoy my favorite island?
It was amazing. This was actually my first trip to Serenity Bay because the last cruise that I took where I was old enough, I was on the Fantasy and we actually were unable to dock. Yeah, so it became a day at sea. I'm not exactly sure what happened. I guess the waves were too rough, but we weren't able to get there. So I was really excited to go this time. We got off, I'd say around like 9 a.m. And I should preface all of this by my husband is not a beach person. We live about 10 minutes away from Ocean City, New Jersey, and we never go. So he does not like the ocean. He doesn't like any of that. But when he got to Castaway and he saw that water, he was sold. He spent so much time just out in the water and going, if this was what our ocean was like, I would go every day.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. It was really nice at Serenity Bay. I had never been there before, but I loved the setup. I loved how there were no kids running around. You could just kind of like relax. And there were plenty of loungers. A lot of people had moved their chairs into the water, so they were like fully submerged. It just seemed like a really peaceful place to be.
Are most of the people there were just really quiet and chill?
Yes, they were. They were super nice, though. I did get talking to a few people because they saw our buttons and they were asking us about our wedding and everything and our honeymoon. And some people were saying, oh, yes, this is my 1-year anniversary and we were here last year for our honeymoon. So it seems like the kind of place that people just love to just come back to and relax.
And then did you do anything else besides, which is, I mean, by all means, sitting around and doing nothing at Castaway is my favorite thing. But did you guys do any snorkeling or bike riding or any of the other activities there?
Not this trip. I kind of just wanted to ease him into it and not overwhelm him. When we did Disney before, I kind of tried to overwhelm him with let's do as much as possible. And it failed horribly. So this trip, I kind of just wanted to let's relax, let's have the number one word for the vacation just be vacation, and not feel like we have to cram a bunch of stuff into it and really overwhelm ourselves. So like I've gone snorkeling before in Castaway, and he loves kayaking, so I definitely would do that on a different trip because it was a lot of fun. It's definitely worth it. But for this trip, I really just wanted him to experience a Disney trip where you don't feel like you're running around the whole time.
For sure. And you were successful in that, it sounds like.
Absolutely.
Anything else from Castaway Cay that we missed?
I would say before we got back on the ship, we did stop and eat at the barbecue that they have on Serenity Bay. And I wasn't aware of this, but they actually have more choices at that one than at the other two cookies that are more near the family area.
Yeah, I think they have steak or something, right?
They do. Yeah, they have steak. And I think there was something else, but I'm not sure. But yeah, the steak was really good. And I had never had that before because I'd never been to the Serenity Bay cookies before.
Right. So good to know. Good reminder.
You know, I think that's what I love about Disney Cruise Line compared to going to like Disneyland and the parks and everything like that is there's always something going on, but I don't feel lazy about just relaxing. Does that make any sense? I feel like when you're in the parks and stuff, it's like, oh, we got to go do this, we got to do that. But, you know, on the cruise line, you can just spend that whole day just relaxing on the beach and not, you know, feel like you're missing something. Does that make sense, I guess? So I get that.
Yeah, definitely.
I get that more with the cruise line, I guess, than when we spend time in the parks. But wow, what an amazing day. I'm trying to figure out, I wonder if I can sneak over to Serenity Bay, because if my youngest hears that there's steak over there, he's going to want me to go over there and steal some for him.
I think that would be tricky, and it will take like 20 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm guessing that all the other steak that you can get on the ship is just what you're going to have to do.
All right. Hot dogs and chicken nuggets for him then next time. So, okay.
Well, you know, at Castaway Cay, you haven't been there, have you?
Just once.
Oh, okay. Oh, because you took the Magic out there, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, but they have chicken, too.
Uh-huh.
They have ribs at the regular barbecue.
Mm. I was just kidding around. Well, awesome. You know, the one question I forgot to ask, you said your husband's a huge Star Wars fan, and did you guys make it down to the kids club so that he could fly the Millennium Falcon?
We absolutely did. We actually did that during one of the late night open houses, and that was another highlight, absolutely, because we had brought some of our friends that we had met at dinner. They didn't even know that there was a Millennium Falcon. We had met them for Match Your Mate, and we're like, okay, we're going to go to the open house of the club, and they're like, what? So they came. They let us use the hand washing stations, which are really cool.
Those are so cool.
I love those. They're like, oh, you can use the hand sanitizer wipes, or you can put your hands in here. We're like, we're absolutely doing this. And yes, he did get to fly the Millennium Falcon, and we got lots of pictures and video of that.
Did you have to like push some kid out of the way? I mean, I've always seen it so crowded in there.
Not when we were there. It was during open house, so all of the kids, I believe, were on the other side all together, and it was just us and I think some other parents, and I think maybe there was one kid there. It was crazy.
So the tip for people would be that if an adult wants to see it, obviously it's closed for programming when it's closed, so no adults can get in there. But if it's an open house, adults, even without kids, can go in, it sounds like, which is awesome. And it's in the Navigator, what the times that is available. And then go in the evening, because like the first day we went through the kids club and like there were just swarms of kids around that thing during the open house.
Yeah, so. I think it was pretty late. It must have been like 11 o'clock or so. And most of the kids were either in the other club or probably with their parents somewhere.
Is there any other Star Wars stuff there that he got to do? I can't remember what all is in there. Wasn't there like an R2-D2 or something you can interact with? I can't remember.
There is. He makes noises, but he's like behind like a glass protective area, so you can't really get to him. But they do have the little sitting area where they would play Jedi chess or whatever it's called. And that has some things that move and make noise and stuff. So it was pretty cool to look at. And they do have, if you're like a Star Wars fan, they have some of the props and stuff. I don't know if they're real authentic ones or whatever, but you can see them on the walls for some of the characters that I wasn't sure about, but my husband knew exactly where they were from. So
Well, awesome. Well, as we kind of wrap up the cruise, was there anything else that stood out that you guys got to experience on your 4-day trip here?
Yeah, I just wanted to speak to what we were talking about earlier about letting them know that it's your honeymoon and any kind of like perks that you get. As I said, they brought us a happy honeymoon dessert that one night that they overloaded us with desserts. At both Paolo and Remy, they did something special for saying that it was our honeymoon. And then actually in our room, we got several like free Rice Krispie treats and popcorn. And one night they brought us 2 Mickey and Minnie matching sailor coffee mugs.
Wow.
Which was really cool, yeah. And then the second night, they sprinkled rose petals on our bed with the towel swans, which I thought was really nice.
So that would be, so the roses is a function of your room steward. So that was like something that they go and do themselves, which is awesome. So you had an awesome room steward.
Yeah, she was great.
And then obviously just for every other listener, you know, if you get a little extra pixie dust magic, that is fantastic, but it might not always be there. So just so people are prepared for that.
Oh, yeah. I had read a lot of people saying, oh, Disney doesn't really do much. So we went in not expecting to get anything. So it was really nice every time that we did get something because it made us feel really special. And it's not like we left going, oh, well, we didn't get anything. Like we went in with low expectations and had them totally overshot.
Which, yeah, I feel like that's the best way to do it so that you can, you know, enjoy it if it does work out.
Yeah. I had one more funny story. So our first night, when we were using the bathroom, we noticed that the floor was a little sticky. And we weren't sure why, but my husband was like, it's fine. I know they cleaned it. I trust them. So he just put on his flip-flops whenever he would go into the bathroom. Well, his flip-flop broke. The thong part broke. And so he's like, oh, great. Now what am I going to do for the whole rest of the trip? And it was our first night. So he was still a little like not quite sold. So we went to dinner and our friends at dinner were like, why don't you go to guest services and at least tell them, hey, the floor was sticky and my flip-flop broke. So we went. And we're just expecting to just let them know maybe they could have it re-cleaned or something. And we go there and they're like, oh, okay, well, why don't you drop off your flip-flops with us and we'll have our cobbler fix them.
What?
Who knew they had a cobbler on board?
We had no idea. The next day, the room service people came up to the room and said, we have a bag of flip-flops for you. And they were totally fixed.
I mean, I guess there's a lot of crew and who knew they had a cobbler?
I had no idea.
Well, you know, they do have Beauty and the Beast, and there was cobblers back then, so they probably needed it for the show. So, anyways, I love hearing stories like that. You know, just the extra touches that they gave you and your husband during that whole trip. That just it kind of warms my heart, and I'm glad that they did that for you guys. And you guys had such a good time with that.
Oh yeah.
So as we kind of end and you guys get to disembarkation, assuming that kind of went smoothly, did you guys do cabanas or did you go to your restaurant? And then how was transportation back to? You guys went back to the parks, right?
So we actually had to go to cabanas because we had the late dining. I wasn't aware of this, but if you have the late dining and you're using Disney transportation to get back to the parks or back to the airport, you have to go to cabanas because they want to start those buses leaving at the same time that you would have been dining the final breakfast. So, I mean, it was fine for us, but we didn't know until the night before and they left us a little notice. So, I mean, that was all fine. Going through customs was a breeze. And then we got right on a bus and it left pretty quickly after that. So the trip back to Walt Disney World was very smooth.
And where'd you guys stay and what time did you guys get back there?
We actually stayed at Boardwalk this time. I had never stayed there and I kind of wanted to be close to the parks. And we got back, I want to say around 11 or so. Our room wasn't ready or anything. So we actually went to Disney Springs and did the Void experience, which I'm not sure if you've done before, but that was incredible.
That's that virtual reality Star Wars thing, right?
Exactly. Yeah, they put like a virtual reality helmet on you and a backpack and you walk through this area and like if you were to grab something on a wall, it would actually be there. If there's like a droid talking to you, you can reach out and touch him and it actually feels like he's there. It's so immersive and incredible. I wish I knew what it actually looked like for us to be going through there because I'm sure it's not a very big area and the guide must have been like right behind us or something, but I did not see him. I did not hear him. I didn't hear anybody else. It was just us and some stormtroopers that we were shooting.
Had you pre-reserved that?
We didn't. I had heard that you could, but I was concerned about what time we would get there and if there were any delays with the ship getting back. So we actually just walked right up and got right in. It was no problem.
And being so close to New York City, I believe there's one in Manhattan.
Yeah, there is. And I know right now they're actually switching it out so it won't be Star Wars anymore, but what's coming in is Wreck-It Ralph, and that also sounds really cool. So,
is that something you guys are going to go do, maybe, you think? Or would you do it again, I guess?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not as long as I would have liked it to be. It was a little too short for the amount of money that it is, but it's such cool technology and it's nothing I've ever seen or experienced before. So I would definitely do the new Wreck-It Ralph one or whatever else is coming.
Well, kind of thinking back on this whole trip, doing your honeymoon so close to after getting married and doing the cruise and everything like that. What was your overall thoughts as you and your husband talked about it afterwards? We
definitely had the trip of a lifetime. We talked about how good it was to leave immediately right after the wedding because you're still kind of riding that just married high throughout Disney World, and all of the people that work there just went that extra mile to really make us feel absolutely special. And he definitely loved the cruise. He loved being able to just relax and do whatever he wanted and kind of plan his day as he felt like going along. Whereas at Disney, you have to have everything scheduled so far in advance. Here, if he wanted to go see a movie, he could just go see a movie. If he wanted to stay in the room, he could do that. We didn't get to experience the pools. So I would definitely, if we went back again, that would be something that I would definitely try to hit because I was a little sad that we didn't get to. But when you're trying to cram so many things into 4 days, some things just kind of fall the wayside.
Yeah, so many things, and you were trying to make this a cram-free vacation. But I guess that's why you missed the pool.
Yeah. We did do the aqueduct, but we didn't hit the pool.
Well, thinking back on it, have you guys decided to book another cruise, or when do you see this kind of maybe coming back in your time frame?
We are tentatively booked for actually a year from this last cruise. So next September, doing the same 4-day Dream. We want to make sure that it's still in our budget, of course, but we have a stateroom booked and we are ready to go as long as our finances will allow us.
I know you said the trip was fantastic, your honeymoon. I don't like to just call it a trip because it's a honeymoon. It's something extra and special. But do you have a favorite memory? Can you lock in one particular thing that was your favorite when you think back?
Gosh, the whole thing. But if I had to pick one thing, I would probably pick the massage. That was it was right at the perfect time. It was our first full day on the ship. So we were done all the ra-cha-cha of getting on the ship. And it was just a nice way to relax and really be a married couple together and kind of enjoy our time. And it was just the two of us for most of that time with the hot tub and everything. So it was a really nice chance to take a breather and really just take in the magic.
That's great. It sounded amazing. So awesome. One other question. I wish I would have remembered to put this out there first. Did you guys do the picture package, the prepaying of the pictures?
No, we didn't. I was a little worried that with how short the trip was, we would kind of feel like we had to get those pictures. Yeah. So, I mean, maybe on another trip, if it was a longer cruise, I would probably do that. But for this one, it just didn't feel like it was the right decision.
And did you do any character pictures? I mean, even without getting the package, you can still go and take the pictures. So did you guys go to do any of the characters or anything like that?
We actually didn't. My husband is, again, not a Disney person, so he doesn't super love the characters. Before the cruise, we met Kylo Ren at the dessert party, and we had some interactions with some stormtroopers while we were there. But on the cruise, we kind of missed the characters.
So scary ones only.
Exactly.
Well, your husband's right after my youngest son's heart because he loves meeting Kylo Ren and Darth Vader and everything like that. But boy, if Mickey Mouse comes walking down the aisleway, he's running the other way. So I'm not sure how that works, but it does. Well, thank you so much, Leah, for coming on and sharing your experience. Going into the holiday season here now, your first time as a married couple, we want to wish you just enjoy that time together, kind of that first special holiday season together as a married couple. And congratulations on your wedding.
Oh, thank you so much, and thank you for having me on.
If you guys do something before your next cruise, definitely send us a note, and we'll have you back on and talk some more Disney Cruise Line.
Sounds great.
Well, that's going to wrap up our show today. Once again, I really want to thank Leah for coming on and sharing her and her husband's honeymoon sailing on the Disney Dream this past year, and thinking about them being in the spa when you're in the middle of the school year with sports and academics and everything else going on. I just love listening to her talk about their time in the spa there in the Disney Dream. Anawake and I probably, and I'm sure Christy and Dave would love to be in the spa as well when you're kind of in the middle of the thick of things. But that's why we come back and bring this show to you every week. It's just fun to listen to all of the experiences that you guys out there have while you're out there sailing around with Disney Cruise Line. We got a lot of fun shows coming up. Florian and I, we made several attempts to get a show done. We had like some technical difficulties. We're going to get it out. We're going to catch back up with him and what he's been doing. He's got some pretty exciting news about what he's going to do now that he's done with his latest contract with Mind Shift, so stand by for that one. So between now and our next show, if you'd like to get a hold of Christy and I, you can always get a hold of me, Steve, over at DCL Podcast on Facebook, also on Twitter at DCL Podcast. Of course, you can always find Christy over at packyourpixiedust.com, PackYourPixieDust on Twitter, and Pack Your Pixie Dust on Facebook as well. We've got some changes that are going to be coming up here in the next month or two, some different ways that you're going to be able to get a hold of us, and we'll let you know about them once they come out, so be on the lookout for that. Also, if you know somebody else who would enjoy this show, we sure would appreciate it if you'd share it with them. That lets us get the word out a little bit more in the Disney community and the cruising community, and lets this show grow. Also, if you have time to go over to iTunes between now and our next show, or whenever you get a chance to do it. Of course, if you're driving kids around and just living the chaos that is life right now, I know it's a little bit tough, but if you have a chance to go over there and do that, we sure would appreciate it. Once again, that helps us get the show done as well. So between now and our next show, if you are heading out on your next vacation, all of us here at the DCL Podcast would like to wish you fair winds and safe sails as you head out on your next adventure. Once again, thanks for coming back and taking a listen, and we'll see you next time on the DCL Podcast.